Buzzing a field at 150 miles per hour is one way to keep pests away, but there is another. You freeze them to death. Now, strangely, that effect of frigid temperatures helps certain growers in the northern states, those who grow under glass. In Michigan, winter's deep freeze is the hot part of the growing season for an important part of that state's farming community. Here's Pat McConaughey.
It may not look like it, but this midwinter day is prime growing season for this farmer in eastern Michigan. This is the Bordine Nursery in Clarkston, just outside of Detroit, and there's a good reason for all of the activity. Bordine's is Michigan's largest family-owned nursery that produces its own plants and sells them. And while we stopped by in winter, the Bordine family was already well into the spring growing season, getting ready for an onslaught of gardeners eager for the year's first chance to get their hands dirty.
Today we got cuttings in from Costa Rica, Colombia, Israel, just to name a few. They're actually FedExed in, so they were harvested yesterday in those countries, flown in, and then we'll actually stick them and start them through the process.
Bordine propagates 10 million different so-called baby plants a year in its greenhouses. That represents 1,000 varieties of everything from impatiens to petunias. Corey's crops are just one of the many jewels in Michigan's agricultural crown. The state produces one of the most diverse assortment of crops of any in the Heartland. And frozen February is prime time for this farming family. The Bordine Nursery was founded by Corey's grandparents, Darrell and Marion Bordine, in 1939. What began as a little roadside flower stand has blossomed into a major nursery operation, with 4 locations in eastern Michigan. While propagating plants from faraway countries is a Bordine specialty, its experts are equally adept at the science of getting exotic seeds to take root in Michigan soil.
The seeds actually were poured into the seeding machine, a vacuum actually sucked the individual seed up and then placed it into the tray. They are watered in, and then they're actually moved into the first phase of the growing.
Bordine's uses what it calls a phased approach to growing. That is, the plants start out in a greenhouse with high humidity, high temperature, about 74 degrees, and they eventually wind up in a greenhouse like this at 64 degrees.
Corey says in the old days you took nature for granted. Today you fool it by controlling such things as light, water, and growing time to ensure that the best quality plants are ready at just the right time.
From a variety perspective, anybody can go out and buy red or white impatiens. We'll offer 5 different varieties of red, 5 different varieties of white, because we know there's discerning customers that want that specific color, just sort of like painting your house.
Bordine Nursery also works closely with Michigan State University in its greenhouse research projects. MSU is considered one of the nation's top horticulture research schools, in a state that, for all its harsh winter weather, ranks in the top 5 for the nation's nursery industry.
The floriculture industry represents about $384 million worth of wholesale value, at least in 2005, the last year we have data from. That's about at least 9,000 jobs directly in production and maybe twice that many in retail.
Dean Krauskopf is the MSU Extension greenhouse agent. He says that despite the realities of its climate, Michigan provides an ideal set of circumstances to greenhouse growers.
We joke about our miserable winters, but that cold weather really works to our advantage because it reduces the impact of diseases and insects in the spring, which is our major production time.
Krauskopf says the growers use that cold weather to control the height of their plants. The third advantage? Michigan's production area sits between Chicago and Detroit, 2 of America's largest metropolitan plant markets. And that's where the customers are. MSU is conducting a number of studies, including better ways to control the greenhouse environment.
And there are probably 700 different cultivars and species that we grow here in the state right now, and see how we can manipulate that environment, temperature, light, day length, to produce the highest quality crop in the shortest period of time with the least energy. And that's a neat trick.
Krauskopf says energy costs are a constant concern, especially since the retail prices for plant products haven't changed much in 10 or 15 years. So Michigan State researchers are looking at better ways to grow plants while using less energy. Both the university and Michigan's nursery industry are often at the leading edge of products and practices for home gardeners. One example, according to Corey Bordine, is the boom in container gardening. He says it's become increasingly popular for gardeners who want quick results in brightening their spring and summer landscapes.
People tend to be time-starved, but they want that massive color. Container gardenings are really easy to really make it happen.
And that's one way that midwinter farmers, the greenhouse growers, can shortcut the region's cold weather to help customers have the first colors of spring, almost while the snow is still melting.